Hello, Cornelis, how are you? My name is Gonçalo Mendes. We have with us today my colleague Vasco Moreira, and we are the media team for the first European Conference on e-public procurement. You are an e-tendering expert at the European Commission. You are also an information manager at the Ministry of Economic Affairs, Agriculture and Innovation. Am I correct?
That's correct, in the Netherlands.
So, exactly. And we are very pleased to be here with you making this interview.
So, being an e-tendering expert at the European Commission, how do you assess the public procurement and the adoption of the public procurement in your country?
Well, public procurement is done in the Netherlands for 20 years, but I think we talk about electronic public procurement.
Yes, exactly.
But let me just tell you a bit about public procurement in general in the Netherlands. We have a national regulation, which is a transposition of the 2004 European directives. They're in place now since 2006 in the Netherlands. And we are currently working on a new procurement directive, which will be beginning next year, hopefully will come in place. In the Netherlands, we have we are working on nationalism in public procurement. We have an organization called Piano, which is a good group in the Netherlands, trying like a community of procurers trying to enhance professionalism of procurement. And in the new directives, the Dutch directives, we are working on better participation of SMEs, more motivation of choices by the contracting authorities. Why do you use lots, or why don't you use lots? Why do you use the lowest price and not an MV or economic advantage tenderers? And we are working on electronic procurement. In the new directives, it will be mandatory that all notices are published on a national platform called TenderNet.
Okay. So regarding the present situation, how can e-public procurement improve it now in the Netherlands?
Electronic public procurement is, I think we are still in the beginning of that. The notices are almost 100% electronic. So for transparency reasons, I think we are there. But electronic submission is about, I think, 20%. It's average for Europe. And that's an area we can work on. TenderNet is a system, it's free, and it's now in use in the Netherlands. And this is to give all contracting authorities in the Netherlands the opportunity to use electronic procurement. So not only notification but submission as well. I think in what electronic procurement can bring to the process, there's a question about, is it savings, transparency, innovation, or good for the SMEs? Well, I think for the transparency part, it's more the notification, and nationally and European, I think the notification is almost about 100%, so that's covered. That's my idea. Okay. For the SMEs, procurement for SMEs, it is something we say and we have in all the documents, and it will simplify the process, and that in itself is good for SMEs. But I think public or electronic procurement is good for all companies, including SMEs. So it's a more general thing. The big advantage of electronic procurement will be the savings we will achieve, and we will have a lot of savings on the transactions costs for contracting authorities, economic operators, and electronic procurement can simplify the process. So we will have, in simplification of the process, that will be saving as well. It will bring savings. Okay. And electronic procurement will bring us standardization of the process. I'm also working on the standardization.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the question is, which are the major obstacles and the major factors to adopt the public procurement?
Um, I think there are one big major obstacle, and that is I agree with the options done by member of the Commission that inertia is the in electronic, and this is process from to electronic means that you doing something new, and something new brings risk to the process, and the public procurement process is or the procurement officers are risk avoiding, and doing something new, doing electronic procurement brings risk to the process, and this risk idea is that prevents a lot of contracting authorities to transform from paper to electronic. I think that's the biggest obstacle, that we are not sure about how electronic procurement works. We feel there are risks involved, and we try to avoid these risks and therefore stick to the old process, which is paper. I think that's the biggest one. On the contracting authority side, for the economic operator side, it is accessibility. If we look at the landscape in Europe nowadays, I think we have about 300 procurement systems, which is good, which is serving the contracting authority, which is perfectly understandable. But from an economic operator perspective, it is very difficult, because you have to interact with not only one, not only 10, but if you are a big company with maybe 50 different systems in different countries with all their own requirements, you have to learn them, digital signatures, and that's preventing access to the process. So accessibility for economic operators at this point is a big problem. If we tackle the accessibility, then economic operators would see the benefits of electronic procurement, and they will have encouraging, stimulating effects on the contracting authorities. They will encourage contracting authorities to do procurement electronically.
Okay.
So break.
Okay, just a little break.
So where are you now? In Barcelona or in Lisbon?
We're in Lisbon.
In Lisbon now. Okay.
So, next question. In the Netherlands, how do you assess the technology of e-platforms offering e-procurement as a software as a service?
I can only agree with that. That's a very good thing. We took the risk element in electronic procurement. If you provide software service and the technology is taken contractor, and the service provider will deal with all the risk in security and in authorization and in backup management and all that stuff. It is not a contracting authority's prime activity. He's a procurement officer, not a really technology guy. So I think it's very good to have like a SaaS solution for this. My own system, TenderNet, is a web-based solution accessible by contracting authorities without any client-side installation. So, and this works very well in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So now, last but not least, the final question. Which three key problems would you like to be addressed by the first European on public procurement in Barcelona next year?
I have three, and I think the first one would be accessibility for economic operators. Second one would be interoperability between contracting authority and economic operators. Third one would be scalability. It's about accessibility. I think if we accessibility for economic operators in electronic procurement is an obstacle, is a big problem. If we tackle accessibility, and by that I mean empower economic operators to have only one account, to have only one signature, and to have free access to information, to the documents, to the questions and answers. If we can somehow empower economic operators to access the electronic procurement landscape, not only nationally but European, I think then that will be a big step forward. The second topic would be interoperability. It's related to accessibility, but by that I mean we have different systems in Europe. We have different components, like a European platform for notices. You might have national platform for notices. We have something called the virtual company dossier. And if we work on the interoperability between these components, these elements, and systems, and making sure the accessibility for the economic operator, then the process will. It's more a technical thing, but I think that would be good for the cross-border procurement, because if we tackle interoperability, not only national level, but it will also make sure that you can communicate with different systems from different countries. Interoperability will ensure standardization, because if you need standards to have interoperability, and standardization will ensure the simplicity of the process, of simplifying the process, and interoperability will have a good effect on accessibility by economic operators. So interoperability, I think that's a key word. And the third one would be scalability. We have said, I think we are about 20% European-wide doing procurement completely electronic. If we want to raise that number to 80%, this means that in the next 5 years there will be a big growth of use of electronic means. Although we may have 300 systems in place, we need to have this in a scalable way that it can grow. And I think scalable doesn't mean we will need a lot more systems, but scalable will mean that the landscape can grow, taking into account accessibility for the economic operators. I think the only solution we have here is to make sure that somehow system-to-system communication can take place. So the economic operator has its own system, and the contracting authorities having its own system, and these two systems can communicate. I think that would be a scalability. That would be my third one.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time and for this interview, and we are looking forward to see you in person in the conference that will take place in Barcelona.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for everything.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.